morning and welcome to another edition of Our Town here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. Coming up a little later on in the program, it's Syttende weekend in Spring Grove, and we will talk to Rachel Storlie with the Giants of the Earth Center in Spring Grove, and she will tell us not only what's going on at the Giants of the Earth Center in Spring Grove this weekend, but all throughout the Syttende weekend as well. We'll have our monthly conversation with Decorah School Superintendent Mark Lane. A lot of things going on related to education. Mark will update us on those things, but our first update this morning will be on the Sunflower Discovery Center. We'll have another check-in with Wenatchee County Development and Tourism Director Stephanie Fromm. She will bat leadoff on today's edition of Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Having a conversation here this morning with Stephanie Fromm. She is the Director of Wenatchee County Development and Tourism. And of course, the main topic of conversation we've had with Stephanie over the last few times she's been on the show is the Sunflower Discovery Center project. Stephanie, give us a general update on where you're at related to that project.
Yeah, lots of moving pieces. I've learned a lot in this sort of role now that I'm on the other side. I'm not just kind of helping someone navigate all the things, but learning a lot. That's been one great takeaway. Wonderful project, super supportive of it still. We actually let for bid in April, got bids back, and of course they came back high because almost all things are high right now. And so we're just kind of working through the details of the bids, and hopefully we'll secure a contract with a contractor in the coming weeks, and hopefully break ground yet this summer. So that's where we're at.
And you're still getting quite a bit of support, not only from individuals in the community, but a lot of businesses in the community have donated to that cause. How maybe overwhelming has the support been for this? How does it make you feel knowing the fact that this idea is backed by so many people?
Yeah, it feels great. Having access to the donor spreadsheet, I mean, just seeing the donations that are coming in it feels really good to have that sort of support. We have a goal yet to raise another $2 million. So it's going to be a little while, I just got to settle in and continue to be comfortable asking for money. So I guess that's the one good thing too, that, generosity, it flows through a lot of individuals locally and regionally. And that's really cool to see.
And I know you mentioned some of the bids for this project have come in kind of high, but that's not a surprise with inflation and the cost of materials and everything like that as of this time. But in a way, does that maybe kind of give you a chance to take a second look at this project and make sure that it's going to be as good as possible, knowing the fact that you have to review some things related to cost moving forward?
Yeah, I think I know the architect actually joked the other day that I knew the plans probably as well as she's designed them, or her team has designed them, because we've looked at every single thing that we probably could. And now we're working directly with contractors to say, this is what we had in the plans, and could we go to a cheaper version of it to bring down the cost, and what does that cost savings look like? We're trying to be as smart, we don't want to go completely on the low side that it, doesn't hold up to the abuse and use over the years. We want to make sure that it's a sustainable project and continues to be that moving forward. So we just got to get a little creative in the things that we change.
You mean young people tend to have fun with places like this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, no, and that's been probably some of the most fun conversation, is just talking to community members and a lot of nonprofits, Wenatchee County Conservation, Northeast Iowa RC&D, Decorah Park and Rec. There's been a lot of nonprofit sort of programming partners to the table saying, this is what we see as a real needed opportunity. This is what we've seen in other places that work really well. So having that Discovery Center not just be this children's museum. It can also, it's also going to be an open gym space so kids can just run around. It's also going to have that toddler play area so that, our little people can safely walk around and on sort of padded flooring and get to know each other. And it's sort of that community space that everybody's been asking for a very long time. And it's just family and kid focused.
And moving forward, do you see any significant changes in what you want to do, or does everyone really agree on the general concept moving forward?
Oh, we've got lots of ideas. And then we just take it back to the sunflower board saying, what do you guys think of this? And what do you think of this? And then it's about, trying to take some of these ideas and going to talk to donors. I'll give you just a little clue of like what we're thinking about in the Discovery Center. So having an ag or farm focused area in the Discovery Center. So, maybe it's playing with a bunch of toy tractors and or rideable tractors and learning about farms. I can tell you that, when we go to Gunderson Clinic, that's the first thing my kids run to is that corner display of the farm. And even though they can't touch it, in a space like this, they can. So maybe it's just a farm table that they're able to play with the animals and the equipment and learn about it. So that passion runs deep in all of us, I think, just food production and agriculture. So that's what I'm mostly excited about, just kind of getting creative with some of these spaces and making them engaging and activity based.
And that's our update on the Sunflower Discovery Center end of things. But obviously, you're involved in a lot of other things. Anything else you want to pass on from the Wenatchee County Development and Tourism end of things? I guess let's start with the tourism end of things. It's getting to be that time of year.
Yeah, yep. Our Vango machines are up and running. They're in 3 different spots yet in Wenatchee County. So we have one up in Bluffton, another at Toppling, Goliath, and one at Pivo. So we're switching out all of those brochures to be more focused on that sort of seasonal change. So the summer recreation style of brochures and maps. We've also completed a couple of pretty engaging videos that will be featured on those Vango machines too, which will, attract visitors and be appealing, I guess, in those spaces. We worked with the RC&D to secure it's a Native American interpretive sort of project that will have, I think, 11 or 12 interpretive panels throughout Wenatchee County and into Alameda County. Laura was pretty heavily involved in that one, but I'm really excited to see the sort of collaboration and partnership that will come out of that project, just to talk about Native American, the culture of them at that time, and different tribes and different areas, and so very locally focused wherever they are. They'll be spread through, up by Bluffton and even into Kendallville. There will be a couple of panels up there. Some are, a few of them sprinkled around the Decorah area, and then actually all the way down to Fort Atkinson. So that's been a really fun project to be a part of. And then, the day-to-day sort of assistance from the chamber has been great at the visitor center too. I know that walk-in traffic, I hear the bell ringing quite often of visitors sort of picking up and coming into these spaces, and it's exciting to see that. So.
And the world is more open than it's been over the last couple of years. You see that as a potential benefit from a tourism perspective, knowing the fact that more people are kind of willing to get out and enjoy life a little bit more than they were able to for a couple of years.
Yeah, I just did I did an interview this morning, and we talked about just that. It's just about people missing people, and I think that's what we've all sort of been longing for, is that sort of connectivity. And you see events now, and they're very well attended, even at meetings. When you have in-person meetings versus the virtual, a lot of people show up. I know Luna Valley had a great Friday, Saturday evening this last weekend with reservations only, and they're going to be doing a great a fundraiser for Sunflower too in the coming weeks. I think it's in June, so be on the lookout for that. But I think it's just going to be a really good summer. I'm excited about it.
All right, Stephanie, we appreciate you taking the time, giving us an update on the Sunflower Discovery Center, as well as the upcoming tourism season here in Wenatchee County. Always a pleasure catching up with you. And until the next time, thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Stephanie Fromm, the Director of Wenatchee County Development and Tourism. Time now for our monthly conversation with Decorah School Superintendent Mark Lane. As you finish up one school year, get ready for another school year. A lot of moving parts with a lot of conversations right now. Mark, I'll start with the conversation that's probably gotten the most attention, the future of the Northeast Iowa Conference. What can you tell us about where those discussions are right now?
The last time we had significant face-to-face conversations, last Tuesday afternoon, we had a joint meeting that involved superintendents from the Northeast Iowa Conference, superintendents from the Upper Iowa Conference, and then superintendents from school districts that have received invitations to join from either conference or both conferences. And so we met for about 2 hours last Tuesday. And I think probably the two biggest results of that conversation that day, the first was the Upper Iowa Conference. They voted to remove a due date from the invitations that they had sent to a number of school districts, including 3 from the Northeast Iowa Conference, Howard, Winneshiek, Allamakee, and New Hampton. Those invitations that had gone to those districts indicated that they would like to have a decision about interest in joining by June 1st. And so when we met last week, superintendents from districts that have received those invitations indicated that it was going to be difficult for them to make, reasoned decisions that allow for community engagement and stakeholder engagement in that fast of a timeline. And so the group made that decision to remove the due date. The other conversation or the other work that's happening as a result of that meeting is we had quite a bit of dialogue around the possibility of some type of merger that would involve Upper Iowa, Northeast Iowa, and then invited schools that would cause, more of a super conference, if that's such a thing in high school sports, that could possibly be 2 divisions or 3 divisions based on school size, and then have some cross-divisional play. And the sentiment of a majority of the group was that there was interest in that possibility. And so Jay Jurens, who's shared superintendent between New Hampton and Turkey Valley, and then Chris Eink at South Wynn, and from what I understand today, who will be at Howard Wynn next school year. We're going to work on maybe some models of what that might look like with different school involvement. In being transparent in the conversation, I indicated that I didn't feel that was my preference for Decorah schools. My preference is a viability of a strong Northeast Iowa Conference, ideally of 8 schools as the number 1A choice or the number 1A option as we move forward and look to the future of activities for Decorah. And primarily for me and for conversations I've had with Adam Riley, our activities director, that option of a standalone Northeast Iowa Conference at 8 schools is highly desirable because it allows us flexibility and an optimal number within a conference, but it also provides us with the opportunity then to seek out non-conference competition and opportunities that we think maximize the opportunities for our students. Schools that aren't in our conference, that wouldn't be in that conference, that are like size, that offer a full palette of the same programs that we offer, we want to make sure that we're offering quality opportunities to our students, and that would be, what I perceive to be moving forward the best option for us. And so while that work between the Northeast Iowa Conference and the Upper Iowa Conference will continue, I think there will be continued work around the viability of the Northeast Iowa Conference as a standalone, ideally 8 or 9 team league.
And moving forward to a topic that probably doesn't get as much of attention, school budget numbers, but is frankly probably more important in the big picture and moving forward. I know you touched on this at the board meeting last week, and it kind of came to fruition with a couple of decisions the board had to make last night. Mm-hmm. The reality of where the state supplemental aid number has historically been recently, and the reality of a district with declining enrollment moving forward is forcing you into some difficult decisions as a board. How necessary is it to maybe get ahead of some of these difficult decisions, knowing the fact that if you don't make some now, it can be really, really tough down the road? Mm-hmm.
No, I'm really grateful to work with a board that looks to the future and thinks about 5 years from now. We have done a lot of work in the last several months with our school board, looking and making 5-year projections around our budgeting. We're 6 years into a downward trend in enrollment. Over that time period, our total and served students, that number's down 185 students in that time period. We look to student enrollment and then the state funding formula to drive that number each year. And with our enrollment number and the SSA increase at 2.5%, as we look to next school year, we see no growth in our budget. In education, we talk about new money, and we think about that as our budget growth from one year to the next. I think we're all aware that we're in a time period of increased inflation rates, and that hits us as a school district. And so when our budget, when that final number of, here's what our budget is for the upcoming school year, we have to live within those means. And so, we have had difficult decisions to make. I made a recommendation to our board to eliminate one of our administrative positions, to reduce one of our principal positions. We currently have 4 building principals. This will take us to 3 building principals, an elementary principal, a middle school principal, and a high school principal. And then we'll have associate principals aligned with those principals. And that new structure, it will be how we administer our buildings moving forward. Other changes that we're making last year, in those grade levels where it was appropriate, we reduced the number of sections from 5 to 4, and we're taking that action again this year. Going into next school year, our kindergarten next year, our first grade next year, and our 4th grade next year, all 3 of those grade levels will be 4 sections, and then second and third will be 5 sections, and that's really dictated by just the enrollment, the numbers that we're seeing. And so, yes, I think especially rural school districts in Iowa who don't look and make that 5-year projection, I think they can be faced with sort of falling off a cliff, where they're looking at, oh my gosh, we have to eliminate 10 positions in our district for next school year to remain financially viable. That's not a position I ever want Decorah schools to be in. And so last year we evaluated our staffing. We were able to reduce a position last year. This year, going into next year, we are reducing an administrative position. We'll reduce 2 certified teacher positions, and then we'll also reduce an administrative assistant position as we move preschool from Westside to John Klein. And again, that really that's aligning our staffing to our student numbers and keeping us in a position to be financially healthy. And those reductions are tied to the other big items on our board agenda yesterday, were salary and wage increases for our employees for next school year. When we looked at our budget for next year and came to the conclusion that we really were not going to see a budget increase, we know our employees are facing increasing costs at the grocery store and at the gas pump. We need to remain competitive and be able to attract and retain employees. And so we need to have competitive salaries and wages. And so we want to be able to provide wage increases to all of our different our employee categories. And so through right sizing and making some reductions in other areas, that frees up money for us to spend that in other ways. Our staff, our wage and benefits, that's about 78% of our annual budget goes into salary and benefits for our employees. So it's a huge component of our annual expenses.
Can you talk about the elimination of some positions? There's the black and white looking at the balance sheet, necessary decisions that you have to make. There's also telling a human being that they no longer have a job in this district. How, from an emotional perspective, how difficult is that?
It's incredibly difficult. It's I think one of the absolute hardest parts of a job like this. And, I know the effort and the heart that our people put into their jobs. I mean, people go into this work because they have a heart for children. They want to serve children well. They want to serve their community. And so when people have that emotional investment in their work, it makes it really difficult and to make hard decisions like that. And I guess that's why I think it's really valuable and important for a superintendent and for a school board to go back to, what is our job, and being the stewards of taxpayer money, being responsible for that long-term health of our school district and our community is ultimately where that rests. But I know these weren't easy recommendations to make, and they weren't easy decisions for our board to make. But I appreciate that they put a lot of thought into that and they put a lot of heart into it. But I know that doesn't necessarily make it easier for a person who's losing a position.
You're in a unique position. As most people know, you'll be leaving this district on June 30th, but part of a superintendent's job is getting a district ready for the future. When these discussions take place on the future needs and the future financial needs or educational needs or activities needs when it comes to the Northeast Iowa Conference, of the discussions that you're having right now, how much is just discussions that you're having? How much are you involving staff that are going to be around next year? How much are you involving Dr. Cronin in some of these decisions? Big decisions. I really, I have worked to allow Dr. Cronin to be a part of those conversations. For example, the hiring of our high school principal recently. We really set our timeline for hiring that position around a day when Dr. Cronin was free to be a part of the interview process, because I know he needs to be comfortable with that next high school principal. They're going to work closely together, and he needed to be a part of that process. Last week when we met as the large group of conference superintendents, I was really appreciative that Dr. Cronin made time that afternoon to be there. So he, that 2 hours that we spent together, both he and I were in the room and were a part of the conversation. Dr. Cronin, myself, Adam Riley, and then our board president, Ron Fodness, we had exchanged emails in preparation for that meeting, making sure that we were all on the same page with,
we feel like is in the best interest of our district. And so, Dr. Cronin, he has his responsibilities to do exactly what I'm doing in the place he's leaving. And so I've appreciated his ability to juggle both and to be available. He was at our school board meeting last night, and so I was aware of the recommendations that were coming. These are these kind of practices with 5-year budget projections and doing that work. I think they're really standard practice for many superintendents in our state. And so the tools that Kathy Dietzenbach and I use, Dr. Cronin is using in his district to build those 5-year projections, to think about that future. And so I think that translates well. We're speaking the same language, just around, different district needs, but that will continue into the next few weeks as things get towards June, and the end of June will be here quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be here before we know it. As for yourself in your to-do list in your career as a Decorah school superintendent, what remains on that list for you right now, Mark? I think it continuing this work around just the long-term stability and success of our district. I think we have incredible people in our district. We have incredible teachers and we have wonderful staff, but they work in a system, and that system needs to continue to churn and continue to work no matter who is in it. And so, developing our master schedules for next school year. There's a heightened awareness of that with the transition at the high school. Mrs. Shepard has been our high school principal for over 20 years, and there's routines that transition from one school year to the next. And so making sure that we're setting up Brad Hurst to be really successful on day one, and that our high school can continue to do the work they're doing, that our staffing plans, that we are getting people reconfigured. If we need to move classrooms, we're already talking about what's the cadence of cleaning rooms and moving people from one building to another, and making sure that we have classrooms ready to go that first day. And then, really just the things around, I would say our compliance with state law, with the financial requirements of the district. You don't want anything to slip through the cracks. When a new person shifts into a position, there are certain things that we have to do at certain points during the year. And so just making sure that all of that flows really smoothly is really critical. And anything else district patrons need to know as of this time?
It has been and will be an incredibly busy time of year. We have scholarship night tomorrow night, and we'll have commencement soon. We're hosting regional track. We've had, tennis and golf, and all of these events take the dedication of a lot of people. And so whether it's a spring concert or the 6th grade operetta that's coming up, I'm just really grateful to our staff and all the volunteers who make those things happen for students, and just encourage people to go out and support our students in the things that they're doing as we wrap up the school year.
Mark, appreciate the time. I think we'll get one more chance to have a conversation. It might be the music and baseball conversation that we warned people about a couple of months ago.
That sounds good.
All right, Mark Lee, the Decorah School Superintendent. With us now to celebrate Spring Grove Syttende Mai, a very festive, as you can see here, Rachel Storlie from Spring Grove. If anything happens in Spring Grove, we talk to our friend Rachel. And Rachel, you are ready for this weekend based on what I can see right now.
I am so ready. I'm at Giants of the Earth Heritage Center in Spring Grove, Minnesota, and we are so ready for this festival. I'm showing off some of the apparel and flags that you can get, and even this cool Viking girl hat at our gift shop. And you can see the murals behind me that were painted by Sigmund Orseth, the famous painter from Valdres, Norway. So of course, I want to encourage everybody to stop into Giants of the Earth Heritage Center during the festivities. We're going to have a Sons of Norway bake sale here on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. That's one of the favorite times that you get together with your relatives. We'll have coffee and you can go shopping for your favorite treats. And what a great way to treat yourself after running with your nomies in the 5K that morning, right? That begins at, let me make sure I've got this right. Running with my nomies starts at 9 a.m. and the bake sale goes from 9 to 11. So you can do both the same day. Can't
go wrong with that. I'm assuming plenty of krumkake and lefse at that bake sale.
Oh yeah, there's going to be krumkake. There's going to be lefse. There's, I don't know. I mean, treats, hot treats, even rummegrøt, of course, with the melted butter. So yeah, it's going to be a yummy, yummy, good festival.
And obviously a lot of things going on at the Giants of the Earth, and a lot of things going on throughout the community coming up this weekend. Let's just run down some of the scheduled events. Let's start what's up Friday night.
Okay, so Friday night, I don't know if you're aware of this, Darren, but I like to be involved with the Ye Olde Opera House Community Theater. And we have a really special event going on right outside of our building in the alleyway. It's the mural unveiling. And this is a beautiful mural. I've seen the sneak peek, and it is kind of like a updated modern rose mauling painting. So that's going to look super flashy and fresh on the side of the building. And we're going to open up that alleyway so it's more of a user-friendly space with patio tables and chairs. My friend Nick is going to be there playing his violin as I play piano, and we'll do the unveiling. That is from 6 to 8 p.m. with complimentary beverages. Of course, the other thing that you can get going on Friday, aside from our citywide garage sales or taking a walk on the beautiful Norwegian Ridge Birding and Nature Trail, is that there's a teen dance at the Fest building from 7 to 10 p.m. And for the older generation that likes to dance, DJ Dewey will be performing at the Legion, and that's a good Friday night fun too.
You mentioned the things you're involved with. The better question, Rachel, what aren't you involved with? That's a shorter list, I'm guessing.
I'll just tell you, I'm actually not even on the Syttende Mai committee, but I feel like my duties at Giants as the community outreach coordinator just make me a little bit more in tune. Like I'm always listening and keeping my ear to the ground about what's happening. So I am using my cheat sheet though.
No shame in that, because I've got my notes in front of me too to steer this conversation in the direction we want it to go. Of course,
yes.
Big events coming up on Friday night, and a huge day coming up on Saturday. Touch on what's going on in Spring Grove on Saturday.
Okay, I got to switch my hat for Saturday, and you'll notice I had to do really bad hair in order to make both these hats work. So now you get the really crazy one. Here you go. All right, if you want either of those hats, stop into Giants. We've got a great gift shop and we'll stock you up. And the flag shirts and pants, super cute. Okay, anyway, add over. So on Saturday, the citywide garage sales keep going, of course. There's a story walk at Trollskogen Park. These are so great for you and the kids, by the way. So you walk through the park, and on the trees and on some of the other furniture, you'll be able to follow a story. And then it's great reading adventures for your kids. Of course, go on a walk. Like I said already, the Norwegian Ridge Birding and Nature Trail is very well manicured, and they are ready and expecting a beautiful weekend of walks out there. And you can bring your dog, you can bring, your kids, or just take a walk with your binoculars. If you're, what is it called? An ornithologist that looks at birds, Darren?
I believe so.
Wow, I may have gotten that right.
And okay. You know what? Even if you didn't, we're going to go with it.
I'm sure somebody will let me know later. They'll be like, that is so wrong, Rachel. Okay, so I'm going to kind of read off this. I know it's a little boring, but wake up early, because before you go on the Running with My Nomies 5K, you can stop in for Dad's Waffle Breakfast at the Fest building. It's only $8. I think it's kind of like all you can eat, and kids are free for Dad's Waffle Breakfast. 7:30 a.m. that starts. Classic car show is lined up, and it's going to start at 8:30 at Lee Auto Body. This is a new location this year. So when you're driving out of town, like toward Decorah, toward Calmer, then you're going to find Lee Auto Body. And that's where the classic car show is set up this year. Big Raven yoga in the park before your run. What a great way to get limbered up for your run. Do a free yoga session. And that is at 8:30 a.m. And then the run begins at 9. And can I just tell you something? If you're not a runner, it doesn't matter. Just get there because you can walk. And I've seen, the most beautiful thing is I've seen moms or dads running and their kids like on a bike, keeping up with them, or their kids way out in front of them. I've seen grandmas and grandpas out there with even walkers. I believe it's a friendly path, even if you have I'm not going to say that it's totally paved, but I've seen people rough it with wheelchairs even. So this is just kind of like a fun thing to do. You don't have to be a super athlete to do it. Anyway, the school is open for an open house from 9 to 11 a.m. And this is hosted by the Spring Grove Alumni and Friends Foundation. So there will be school tours and a coffee hour. And then the Peacemakers Quilt Guild Show. This is a really big draw for a lot of people here in town. That goes on all day. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you will be able to find that at the public library. It is free admission, and come in and see some of the beautiful handiwork that our quilters in this area have been doing. Kids pedal pull, if you're into this, there's a really fun lineup of games and fun, and of course street food. The brats will be up at the Legion, of course, like always, with sides and fixins. And then I'm sure the pork burgers will be served, all looking into the main street for pre-parade time. The pedal pull starts at 10:30 p.m. Oh my gosh, what is that? Kids pedal pull. That's got to be wrong. 10:30 a.m.
I'm assuming.
We're going to go with a.m. I think kids should be in bed probably by 10:30 p.m. Okay, and then if you haven't been in Spring Grove, you need to know that the heart of our town is called Viking Memorial Park. And that's where we have the sculptures of the famous Spring Grove lion, and our Ola and Pear sculptures are located there. And there is a beautiful shelter and a log cabin, and that is the headquarters for not only the parade, where Greg Wennis always sits and is the MC over all of that, but also where you'll find inflatables and yard games and a Nerf war, petting zoo, human hamster balls at Trinity Churchyard. I don't know what that is, but it sounds exciting. Balloons by Kevin, Tappy's face painting, and paintball is going to be in the big rolling green field behind our fest building. So there's so much to do outside that day. Now, where I am sitting, and I'm going to do a little slow pan.
All right.
We're at Giants of the Earth Heritage Center, which is on Main Street. It's that big, beautiful yellow building. And we have just been undergoing a year and a half of renovations centered around putting an elevator into this building. We are the only ADA compliant building on the historic register in Spring Grove. And now you can go to all 4 floors in ease, in style on our elevator. We have a whole new HVAC system throughout the whole building. And we've got exhibits on the 2nd and 3rd floors. And we will be open for general admission and for members to come in and basically not only shop for your yummy treats during the bake sale, but see what we've put together as exhibits on the 2nd and 3rd floor, because it's the history of Spring Grove, really, and we want to share that with you. So now we've got a little more about that. The Songbook Project. Are you a Molly B fan, Darren? I'm putting you on the spot here.
If anyone isn't a Molly B fan, I don't frankly want to know them. Let's be honest.
Right? Yeah. Here,
the most talented musician I know.
Yes, the most talented musician indeed. I'm going to walk over here.
All right.
So she played in Spring Grove last weekend on Saturday, and we put together this project with her. It's called the Spring Grove Giants Song Project. And Molly is basically going to write a song based on little Post-it notes or submissions on our website about Spring Grove memories. And if you can see, Darren, she had categories of unique Spring Grove culture, church, music, sports, and school. So if you have any relevant memories that you'd like to share specifically about those categories, or just something a little bit more generic, we would like you to visit giantsoftheearth.org. And there's an online submission form where you can tell what your memories are, and they may be selected by Molly B and made into the lyrics of a new song about her hometown of Spring Grove.
That is probably one of the coolest ideas. I mean, anyone who's seen Molly B perform, who can play a trumpet, sing, do the keyboard all at the same time, taking random subjects and turning into a song. That's probably one of the coolest ideas I've ever seen.
Yeah. So you can stop in at Giants and find me, and I'll be happy to either record you saying something of your memories and sharing that, or just take a little audio recording, or you can take one of the Post-it notes and put it up on our board. All right. Whew, that was a lot to talk about, but I'm so excited about it. Do you know what else is going on? On Saturday, 10:30 a.m., the Nordic Dancers, which is a perennial favorite. Of course, we've got to have some folk dancing here in town on Syttende. The pork burgers by the Athletic Boosters is in front of the corner store. And then we've got the grand parade, of course, at noon. And people will be lining up for that as early as 11 o'clock. But bring your yard chair, bring, who knows, I'm not going to say it, maybe that thing that you go like this, just in case, but I'm not going to say it. Bring your sunscreen, and then get your spot along Main Street, because the parade is going to be back and better than ever this year. I've got a feeling we're going to have amazing attendance this year. So get your spot early if you can. Beer tent. Who doesn't like some beer? So get in line and get your beer tent. That opens at 1 o'clock. We've got corn pile following the parade, and the Joe Cody band playing in the gazebo at Viking Memorial Park. And then, this is so fun. Have you ever seen Soapbox derby racing?
I did it back in my Cub Scout days, and I usually finished last.
Well, but that's okay, because isn't it such a great memory?
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And
trying to get the right angle on the car and the right wheels and to get them to move in the right direction, all that good stuff.
I know, it's a little bit terrifying to watch a small child get into this vehicle and just wonder, was that put together the right way? But you gotta live and learn. So that is so fun. That's going to be at 1 p.m. right after the parade. Helmets are provided if you don't have one, by the way, and it costs $3 per run. So, if you don't have your own Soapbox derby car, it's fine. Coulee Region Cornhole contest starts after the parade as well at 1 o'clock. Bags will fly at 1:30. So get your team assembled and get them together. Again, DJ Dewey playing at the Legion that night at 8:30 p.m. So, did I miss anything?
I'm guessing you did not, because your attention to detail is very fine. We'll put it that way. And
thank you.
After all that, we still got a day left to talk about on Sunday. You've switched hats once again. What's up your sleeve on Sunday, Rachel?
So the Norwegians, I'll tell you a little bit about them. If you are not Norwegian, or if you don't know a lot about them, they have this concept called Friluftsliv. And just like in German, a lot of times little words are made into a longer compound word. So Friluftsliv means free air life. And so on Sunday, there's the opportunity, obviously, to worship wherever you choose. Of course, the Trinity service, which I play organ for, is going to have a guest trumpeter. We're going to be singing Ja, vi älskar detta landet sometime during the service, and that will be on K-Vike 104.7, starting at 9:15 a.m. So
we like those folks.
Yeah, exactly. So worship if you want somewhere, or step out into the nature of Spring Grove area. Again, the bird trail, always open for everybody. The park, you can go to the park and just enjoy the spirit that is still left over from the festivities on Saturday. But really what is so exciting, aside from the Quilt Guild still showing off all of their fine work at the public library that day, is two things. At 1 o'clock, there is an alumni baseball game. And this is up at the football field, which is called the Blaine Onsgaard Memorial Field. And it's going to be a blast. If you appreciate baseball, if you want to play, it's $20, but concessions will be available. And this is family fun for everybody. So get up to the Blaine Onsgaard Memorial Field and play some baseball with the alumni. And then you may need to get some food in your belly, right? Like you have to have fuel to play baseball.
Of course.
Guess what? It's a miracle of miracles because there's a meatball dinner at Trinity Church that begins
Yes.
at 10:30 a.m. Woo! Home run, striking out at Trinity with the meatball dinner. And that is 10:30 until they run out. It may be until 2, but let's just be real. They usually sell out. So get there early.
And what would a Norwegian celebration be without a meatball
Without
dinner? Let's be honest.
meatballs, exactly. And you know what? There's a local tradition around here, the legendary Red's hometown market in Spring Grove, which really ties our community together. We're so lucky to have been blessed with a family that's continuously run a grocery store here and does such a fine job. But the Meatball King is going to be in the parade as always. And you can be sure that we got our supplies for the meatball dinner there too. So
I'm going to ask you a silly question. Did we miss anything?
oh my gosh. I cannot imagine that we did, but if we did, it would probably just be that, gosh. Oh, are we able to talk about things that happen on Thursday night or is that after?
Sure. That's coming up tonight. Yep.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah, good. It's tonight. So sorry, I forget which day we're talking about here. So tonight there's one more thing. It's not on the official calendar of events, but I am hosting an event here at Giants and
Okay.
it is really, really cool. It's called the Passport to Other Cultures program. And we're focusing, of course, this month on Norway because of our Syttende celebration. But what happens is on the second Thursday of each month, we have a different cultural representative come in and talk about a place that either they've lived or they've worked or that they have relatives and family from. We've featured countries like Turkey and Ireland so far. And this evening at 6:30 p.m. at the Heritage Center in Spring Grove on Main Street, the big yellow building, we have a group from the Twin Cities called the Norse Four as our guests. One of them plays Hardanger fiddle. They all folk dance, they sing, and they're great storytellers. And they are going to be here in Immigrant Hall where I'm sitting and featuring a program that they wrote and produced, and then we'll perform about old Norwegian courtship and wedding customs. And the thing that we love to do during these passport events is we have a room in our building called the Welcome Room. And I work with local curators to set up a pop-up exhibit that has to do with that culture for the month. And then our community can come in and see special collections of things. So we're highlighting Hardanger embroidery, which is a specific style of embroidery from Norway. We have a lot of pieces from two sisters in town, the Wisties, Amanda and Rachel, and they have shown off their collection. We're setting it up. It's going to be available to you. And the grand opening of our pop-up exhibit will happen tonight at the same time. You can ask them questions. We also have a lot of things set up, collections of Norwegian wood carvings, for example. And we have an exhibit on Ola and Per and the history of Peter J. Rosendahl, of course, between the upstairs and the downstairs. There will be food served. I've got Nordic Gruet, which is a type of beer that Pivo makes. So we're going to have Norwegian food and drink samples. And of course, this live entertainment show about Norwegian customs of weddings. And, you know, you never know what's going to happen when you have out of town guests and a community that is super proud of their heritage. So I think it's going to be a blast. So come to Giants tonight at 6:30 as well. And that's something you may only hear about right here on this show.
I appreciate the exclusive opportunity there, Rachel. I'll give you 30 seconds for a commercial. Syttende this weekend, Spring Grove, go.
If you miss out on Spring Grove's Syttende Festival this weekend, you are missing out on the biggest party of the year right here in Spring Grove. We invite you to take part in Friluftsliv with our nature components. We invite you to hang out in downtown Spring Grove and take in the heritage and the vibe of our cultural festival. Don't miss out this Thursday through Sunday in Spring Grove, Minnesota.
One of the awesome things is every time we have somebody on from Giants, they are passionate, they are enthusiastic about the place they work, about the community that they serve, and it's always fun catching up with folks in Spring Grove. And Rachel, thank you for your time this morning. Have fun this weekend. Like I need to tell you, you enjoy everything you do.
Tusen takk, Darren. Ha det bra.
Rachel Storlie, Syttende coming up this weekend in Spring Grove. Our thanks to our guest on the program this morning, Stephanie Fromm from Wenatchee County Development and Tourism. We also want to thank Mark Lane, Decorah School Superintendent. We'll have another conversation with him next month before he steps away from that position, and Dr. Timothy Cronin takes over in the month of July. And we want to thank Rachel Storlie from the Giants of the Earth Center in Spring Grove, and she told us all about Syttende coming up this weekend in Spring Grove. Should be a good time had by all. I'm sure a lot of you will make your way up there and celebrate your Norwegian heritage, as Norwegian Independence Day coming up officially next week, but the celebration this weekend in Spring Grove. Don't forget, we put these shows on YouTube each and every week. We realize that you might not be able to get to the radio or a streaming device at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but this is interesting content, not because of me, because the interesting people we get to talk to on a weekend and week out basis, and we want to bring that content to you when it's available to you. And because of that, we put it on YouTube each and every week. And as the folks watching this show, Rachel Storlie definitely took advantage of the YouTube in her interview with us this morning. Go to youtube.com. Like for today's show, just search 512 Our Town Program. You should be able to get it right there. We also put it up on the Facebook pages of all of the LA communication websites as well. So that's another way you can get the content we get to you each and every week. Our thanks to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. Our thanks to our always entertaining guests. And most importantly, we thank you for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.